My name's Lisa Lawrence and I'm your subject librarian. And I'm here to support you with all aspects of finding and managing information for your assignments and coursework whilst you're studying with Coventry University. But today I'm going to start by giving you a brief introduction to the library, both its resources and its services, and to the library catalogue Locate, which you'll need to use to find books and journals for your studies. Now, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to visit the library yet, but hopefully we will see you on campus soon. So what I'm going to do now is try and share a PowerPoint presentation that I've got, and I'll take you through the basics of how to get access to the library and use its resources. So just bear with me a moment. So that's just loading up. Okay, so hopefully you can see that picture of the library there. And I know it may look like some kind of brutalist fortress, but inside it is a welcoming space for you to work. And the library staff are always happy to help and answer any queries that you might have. So please don't feel nervous about asking us for help if you need it. Just find a member of staff and ask them, and they'll do their best to answer any questions that you might have. So some basic information about the library. And to get into the building, you'll need to use your student ID card. And I'm assuming that you have already received those ID cards now. If you haven't, then you will need to bring some form of identification with you and your welcome letter, and you'll need to talk to the staff at the welcome desk and they can tell you how to get into the library. But if you have got your ID cards, then you just need to place them on those little black scanners at the entrance barriers, and that will open the gates for you. And you will need to do the same thing in order to leave the building. But again, if you have any problems with that, just have a word with the staff on the welcome desk and they'll sort it out for you. And you'll also need your card if you want to borrow books or a laptop, and if you need to use the printers. We are a self-service library, so you will need to find the books on the shelves yourselves, and I will show you how to use the library catalogue to find out where the books are located a little bit later on. And once you've found the books, if you're using a physical book, then you will need to issue it to yourself if you do want to borrow the book and take it away from the library. Again, if you have any problems or any questions about doing that when on campus, please just find a member of staff and they'll talk you through how to do it. And the library is currently open 24 hours a day, 364 days a year. We're closed on Christmas Day, but that is subject to COVID guidelines. And at the moment, that's very much up in the air. So please do check through Twitter or through the library website if you are planning to visit us, just to make sure that we are open and just to check any restrictions that might be in place, such as having to wear a face mask. So do that homework before you actually come along to the campus. We currently have around 313,000 print books, 331,000 electronic books, and over 64 million journal articles. But that number is changing all the time, particularly with regards to our electronic offering. So there is a mass of information that's available for you to use through the library. So a little bit of information about how you borrow books. You can borrow up to 20 items at a time, and that's a combination of 3-week loan books, 7-day loan books, videos, up to 20 items. You can borrow laptops for up to 4 hours at a time. If you borrow them in the library, you need to use them in the library, so you can't take them out of the building. Books that you do borrow are automatically renewed, unless they've been reserved by another student, in which case you should receive an email that will ask you to return the book. And if you don't return it by the due date, then you will accrue fines. So please make sure you check your emails regularly. If you do bring a book back late, it's fined at £1 a day. So please, as I've said, make sure you check your student email address regularly because you don't want those fines to accrue. Now, with regards to the building, it can be a little bit daunting because it is a massive building, but you will get used to the way it's set out really quickly once you start using us. We have a variety of different computers that you can use. So there are both PCs and Macs, and they're fixed. So we've got about 571 at the moment. But we also have a lot of laptops that you can borrow using your ID card. And obviously you can take them anywhere in the library to use them. And we've got about 1,500 study spaces, but currently slightly less than that because of the COVID regulations and social distancing. We have 11 bookable group study rooms, and I will show you how you book those rooms later, but there does need to be a group of at least 3 of you in order to use the group study rooms. But depending on how you like to work, there should be a space that suits you. So the basement is reserved just for postgraduates, but floor 1 of the library is a silent study area, so no talking at all is allowed on floor 1 of the library. So if you like to work without having any distractions at all, that's probably the best place to go. Floor 2 of the library is a quiet area, so a little bit of low-level noise and conversation is fine. But if you do want to work together in groups and make a little bit of noise and discuss your work, then we strongly suggest that you either use one of the group study areas, such as floor 3 or the ground floor, or that you book one of the group study rooms. And that way you're not going to disturb people who like to study in quiet or in silence. And there's different types of seating on every floor. So you can see some examples in the photos here. So we do have study carrels, we have quite relaxed armchairs and bean bags. It really just depends how you like to work. There should be an area that suits you. And the top floor of the library, floor 3, is the Disruptive Media Learning Laboratory, or DMLL for short. This is one of those group study areas. It's quite a relaxed, informal area. This is where you will find the subject librarians. So if you did want to see me for any additional help, you'll find me on floor 3 of the library when I'm on campus. But there's some quite interesting study spaces on this floor. So there's a giant whiteboard area. There are Macs and PCs on this floor. There is a coffee machine if you want a bit of a break while you're studying here. But we have got a quite interesting grass lecture theatre, which you can see in that bottom row. We've also got a wooden hill that you can use, and there are study rooms available when they're not being used for teaching. And we have got some very large movable tables. So again, if you want to work in groups, you can move those tables around to suit you. So it's quite a large, vibrant area for group work. If you do need help while you're in the library, you can go to the welcome desk on the ground floor of the library and you'll find staff there. But we also have roving support assistants, and these are usually students who've been studying at Coventry for a couple of years. So they know everything there is to know really about the university. They know about the library, but they also know about Coventry. So if you've got any questions at all, not just about using the library, but really about finding your way around campus or around the city, please feel free to stop one of these roving support assistants and ask them for help. They're absolutely brilliant. They know much more about things like printing and using IT services than even the library staff do. They're really, really helpful, and you can't miss them because they wear these bright purple t-shirts with Ask Us written on them. And you'll see them wandering around the library, but they've also got desks on some of the floors, so you can just hang around one of the desks if you don't spot a roving support assistant, and they will touch base there. and you can ask them for help. They're really friendly. They're an invaluable resource. So when you want to access electronic resources, if you're studying at a distance, or if you don't want to come into the library for whatever reason, you will need to log in with your university email account. So you use your email account without the uni bit that comes after the @ symbol. So if you've got a Coventry University account that's got @uni.coventry.ac.uk, you take the uni bit out and just have @coventry.ac.uk, and then just your normal IT services password, and that should get you into most of our electronic resources. Again, if you've got any questions about this, need any additional help, please do feel free to get in touch with me. And as I've said, I'm based in the Disruptive Media Learning Lab. I am a part-time member of staff, so I'm normally on campus on Mondays between 8:30 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, on Wednesdays from 8:30 until 2:30, and on Thursdays from 8:30 until 2:30. But probably the best way to get in touch with me is to send me an email, and then I can get back to you and answer any questions that you have as soon as possible. Okay, so hopefully that's fairly clear introduction into getting information about the library, getting into it and using the physical building and its resources. But now I need to go on and demonstrate using the library catalogue Locate. And this is the main means that you'll have of finding good quality resources, mainly books, journals and other media to support your studies. So if you just bear with me a moment, I will try and share my screen with you. So hopefully now you can see the library catalogue Locate, and you can get onto that either by Googling Coventry Locate or going straight onto locate.coventry.ac.uk. And Locate brings together all of our resources, both printed and electronic, and things like videos and streamed media. So it is really an invaluable source of information for you. You don't need to log into Locate to use it, but if you do want to check what you've got out on loan, or if you've got any fines accrued, then you can log in to check your account, and the login option is just on the top right-hand side there, and you just enter your Coventry University credentials to find out what you've got on loan. If you do log into Locate, then you'll often find that you're not then asked to log in when you go onto the databases such as Academic Search Complete, because they remember that you've already entered your credentials. So that can be a time-saving thing to do, but you don't need to do it to check what's in stock. Okay, so before I actually demonstrate on Locate how you find books and journals, I'll just mention a few things that you might find useful. So we have an online chat option here. So if you are using Locate and you've got any questions about anything that you find on here, or any questions about the library, you can just click on that little lib chat option there, that little box at the bottom, and a chat box will come up. And you can enter your name or just leave it blank if you want to remain anonymous, and pop your question in here. And a member of staff will be at the other side between 9 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And they will be on hand to answer any questions that you've got. So you can chat to a member of library staff there. And if they can't answer your questions straight away, they can refer your question on to another member who will be able to help you. So that's a really useful instant way of getting help between 9 in the morning and 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you don't need to physically be on campus to use that option. And to get rid of that, you just click on the little lib chat icon there, and that minimizes it again. If you do want to come onto campus and you want to book a study space, you can do that in advance by clicking on that book a study space option there. And then there are several places on campus that you can book, but if you want to use the library, you just click on book a space underneath Lanchester Library there. And then you've got an option of booking a group study room or booking a particular type of space. So you can either book a Windows PC, an Apple Mac computer, or just a space if you want to bring in your own laptops or book one of our laptops that you can borrow. The other thing that you might find useful is the referencing guide. So that's at the bottom of the page. You can see the referencing tab there. And if you click on that, you can see massive letters there, APA. And if you follow that link through, you'll find basic information about how to reference, including some really useful videos that describe this process to you. But you'll also find a lot of really useful examples for different types of material that you may need to reference while you're doing your work. So if we just click on books, for example, you can find out how to reference printed books, ebooks, a chapter in an edited collection, dictionaries and encyclopedias. So basically, most of the main types of information you're going to need to reference. There are examples of how to do that here and how to do the in-text citations as well. Okay, so if we just go back to locate now. So when you start studying a topic, you'll need to use books to really gain an overview of that topic and to introduce you to the key theories and theorists. And you can look for books on a particular topic, basically just by typing in a few keywords. So if we use a very broad example and try typing in early childhood, and you can see here we've got the option of using a search for books and more, which will bring back both physical books and online books. You've got the option of looking for books and more online only. So if you don't want to come into the library, this would be the option for you because it will only bring back electronic resources. And you've also got the option there of searching for journal articles. And I wouldn't really recommend that you use this option if you do want to search for journal articles, because it's a little bit like using Google or Google Scholar in that you'll get a massive results, but it's quite difficult to filter those results down and refine your search in a meaningful way. So you will end up wasting a lot of time searching through a lot of results, many of which won't be that relevant for you. So the only time this is useful is if you're wanting to do a scoping search, just to check that there's a lot of information in the area that you're interested in researching. For example, if you're thinking about a dissertation topic. In most of the cases, I'd advise that you use the database that we subscribe to, which enable you to plan your searches in a much more meaningful way. Okay, so what we're going to do here, though, is search for books and more, so that I can show you the physical copies as well as the electronic resources. And you can see here we've got a lot of results. So we're going to try and filter that down. And to do your refining, you need to use these options on the left-hand side. So I'm going to say that at the moment, I'm just interested in books. And that's going to bring back both online books and printed books. And just for the purposes of this example, I'm now going to filter that down just to full text online resources. And that's still a lot of results, more than I want to look at. So I'm also going to change the date range. So you can see the results here are going back to 1700. For most of your assignments, you're not going to want to go back that far. You're probably going to want to look at things which have just been published in the last 5 or 10 years. So you can change the date range. And so I'm going to change the date range to 2010 to 2021, and then click on the refine option. So that's got rid of another probably 1,000 results there. And then I can go through this and I can click on any of these titles that I think look useful. And then I can click on that link to be taken out to view the full text of that book. And you can see you've got the option there to download it or to read it online. And with a lot of the electronic books, when you download it, it's effectively like borrowing the book. So you'll be able to keep it on your computer for a variable length of time. It depends on the publisher. So it may be just 1 day, it may be 7 days, maybe 14, maybe 21. But at the end of that time, the book will disappear from your computer. So it's like it's been returned to the shelf for another user to borrow. And if you haven't finished using the book, you'll then need to go back online and download that book again. But again, that varies depending on the publisher. So that's how you search if you're just looking for a topic. However, if you're working from a reading list or a recommendation from one of your lecturers, the best way to narrow your search is to add an author's surname. So if we add Pen here and try searching for that. So this is a book that's often recommended to students. And you can see here that we have 2 versions of this item. So if I click on this, you can see we've got a physical copy and an online copy. So those of you who prefer to use a physical copy of the book, if you click on that link and go into the record, you'll be able to see how many copies of the book we have. And in this case, we just have 1 copy. And you can see whether it's available or whether somebody else has borrowed it. And in this case, that book is available. There are no reservations on it. So you should be able to just go to floor 1 of the library and find the books at this number. And you need to make a note of the number and the 3 letters that come after it. So the books at Coventry University Library are arranged in Dewey Decimal order. And you just need to find that number, and then the books are arranged in alphabetical order, usually by the first 3 letters of the author's surname, but not always. For example, if it's an edited collection, it might be the first 3 letters of the title. And then once you've found the book, if you want to borrow it, you just take it to one of the self-issue machines and follow the instructions on screen. And again, if you've got any problems finding the book or using the self-issue system, just find a member of staff and they will help you with that. But we'll just click on the X to get out of that record. And then we've got the online version here. And again, as before, you just click on online access and then click on the link to the provider. And you can see in this case, we've got a different ebook provider. We're going to EBSCO, so it will look different. And this time it hasn't remembered that I've already logged in, so it's asking me to log in again. And I've got my email address without the uni bit after the @ symbol, my normal login password, and then I just click on sign in. And that very slowly takes me into the online version of the book. And then I can have a look at the table of contents, or I can download the PDF or the EPUB full text and read it in full. Okay, and you may occasionally be given a reference to a journal article. And if that's the case, you need to check to see whether we've got access to that journal. So you would search by the title of the journal, not the title of the article. So if we look for the British Journal of Educational Technology, and you only need to type in meaningful words, so you don't need to type in things like the or of and. And we're going to stick with the books and more option. And you can see here we've got 2 versions of this journal. We've got printed copies of it, and you'll find those on floor 1 of the library, but they are not for loan, those are reference use only. But most of the journals that we have access to now are available online. And you again just click on online access. And then you can see here we get this particular journal through a number of different providers. We get it through Wiley, and we also get it through EBSCO Academic Search Complete and EBSCO Education Source. So you would need to go back to the reference that you'd been given to find out which year you needed to access. And you can see here that the Wiley version goes back to 1997, and there's no end date, so that goes right up to the present day. But the EBSCO version only starts in 1998, and there's an embargo on it, which means that the most recent 12 months issues are not available. So if you wanted a very up-to-date issue of this journal, you would need to use the Wiley version of it. If you wanted to go back beyond 1997, you'd need to use the EBSCO version because that goes back to 1996. So you really do need to refer back to the reference that you've got, and that will determine which of our providers you go to. But if we just click on this, you'll see it's very, very similar to accessing an electronic book. And then you can browse the issues and choose the volume and the issue or part number that you need to look at in order to find the article that you're interested in. Again, if you've got any questions with that, feel free to get in touch with me and ask for further help. Okay, so that's when you're working from a list or you've got a broad topic that you're looking for. But as your studies progress, you will be expected to do your own research to find good quality journal articles and other resources to support whatever arguments you're putting forward. And I know that it is temptingly easy to just go onto Google or Google Scholar and type in your assignment title, but please don't. Not only is it difficult to filter out the good quality information from the flood of indifferent or poor quality resources that they retrieve, but you will also come up against paywalls where you'll be asked to hand over basically your credit card information to get the full text content. And we think that you're paying quite enough to come and study with us as it is. So please do get into the habit of using the databases that I'm going to show you to get access to the good quality journal articles that we've paid for you to access. And the easiest way of getting onto these databases is through the subject guide. So if you click on subject guides at the very top of the locate screen, and then scroll down till you see the Childhood, Youth and Education Studies one. Click on that, and then you'll see on the right-hand side there, you've got a button which will enable you to just instantly email me. If you did want to book an online appointment with me, you can click on that book appointment and you'll be able to see my availability. And I will see you online either through Teams or through Zoom, whichever one you prefer. If we go a bit further down, you can see we do offer workshops. At the moment, it's a little bit more relaxed because we're heading into the Christmas period. But come January, you should see a whole host more of things like using RefWorks, referencing, studying from home, how to do a literature review, lots of really useful free workshops that you can sign up for, and those are online. If we just scroll to the top here and go into the Introduction to Academic Sources, you can see there's useful information here that just explains a little bit more about academic journal articles, the peer review process, how to read academic articles, but I'll leave it to you to look through that at your leisure. And what we're going to do now is just look at some of the key databases that are available to you. So to see what's available, you just click on Subject Resources, and you'll see there's a whole host of them listed here. And we don't have time in this demo for me to go through all of these. So what I'm going to do now is show you Academic Search Complete. And then you can apply the same principles of searching to the other databases that are available to you. So to get into any of these, you just click on the link. And Academic Search Complete is generally a really good starting point for most of your assignments because it is a multidisciplinary database. It's really easy to use and it's got an excellent, very flexible search option. So you've got lots of ways to refine your searches. So to start off with, what you need to do really is what's called a free text search. And this is where you just pop in the key terms that you know from your own reading and do a search on those. And you use these search boxes here. So if we try typing in, for example, special education, and we can run a search for that, but we will get lots and lots of results if we do that. You can see there's 95,000 results there. It's far too many for me to go through. So I want to try and refine that search a little bit more. So I'm going to try and focus in on a particular aspect of special education. So I'm going to say that I want articles which feature special education and anything to do with learning disabilities, or some of the related words that are very similar to learning disabilities. So they're related words or synonyms. And I'm going to look at learning disabilities or learning difficulties or learning disorders. And I'm going to try and run that search and see if that narrows it down. So that's reduced it quite significantly. So I've now got just over 10,000 results. So I'm now going to focus in on a particular subject group. So I'm going to be interested more in adolescence. And we're going to look there at adolescence or the synonyms, which are teenagers, young adults, teen, or youth, and try searching for that. Okay, so that's brought it down to 1,000. And I'm going to add an additional search box because I'm now going to focus in on a particular geographic area because I'm just really interested in the situation in Great Britain or the United Kingdom or England or UK or Britain. So very close to home. And that's brought it down to 141. So you can see I'm refining the search all the time to make it manageable. And then I can use the refine results option on the left-hand side there and say that I just want scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles, which gets rid of some of the more lightweight articles which are out there. So the peer review process is a quality control process where articles which are submitted to peer-reviewed journals are passed around a panel of experts who check that they meet certain criteria. Now, you still need to evaluate each of these journals that you read. So you can't take it as read that it's a good quality piece of research. You still need to do all that evaluation yourself, but it does get rid of some of the less academic articles that are out there. And you can also see from this date range here that these articles, some of them are going back to 1988. And you're probably not going to be so interested in those older articles. So you can drag and drop this date bar here to limit it to the more up-to-date publications. So we're just going to focus in on the last 10 years. And that's narrowed it down to 70 articles, which is okay. So you've got the option there of going through them and hand selecting the articles you think will be useful for you. But you can also use these subject thesaurus terms on the left-hand side to look within those results. So if I click on that and then click on show more, I can see that I've got 27 articles which feature very specifically on special education. 8 are looking at children with disabilities, 7 are looking specifically at autism, 6 are looking at mainstreaming in special education. So you can then select the ones that are very specifically about what you're interested in and then click on update. So all the time you're refining your results. And then if it's full text on this database, you can click on the HTML or the PDF to view the full text. Very occasionally you will come across things which aren't available in full text on these databases, in which case you will have this located check for availability option. And you can click on that to see if that journal is available through one of our other providers. And you can see that, yes, in this case, we have access to it through a publisher called Sage, and you can click on that link to be taken out to view the full text of the article. As you go through your search, if you find anything that's useful, you can just click on the little plus symbol to the right-hand side, and that will put that article into your folder. And then when you finish searching, and you can run lots of new searches, different combinations of keywords. But when you finish searching, everything that you've saved will be in your folder. And you can then go into that, select them all, and then you've got the option of printing them, emailing them to yourself, saving them to your laptop, or exporting them if you're going to be using something like RefWorks or EndNote or Mendeley to store your references. Okay, so hopefully that's very straightforward for you. But again, if you do have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. And again, we can do an online one-to-one and I can talk you through this in more detail. But if we just go back to the LibGuide for Childhood, Youth and Education Studies, I just want to also point out to you that in guides and tutorials, you can see there's more information there about some of the main database hosts, EBSCO, ProQuest, and Sage. And there are some video guides here that will show you again how to search Scholar if you really want to use that, but also how to use EBSCO and just some of the main problems that you may come across when you're doing the database searching. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen now. So hopefully that's a good introduction for you for using the Lanchester Library. I've pointed out some of the main areas that you can go to for extra help if you need it, but I am your main subject librarian, so if you do have any problems, feel free to just get in touch with me direct and I will get back to you as soon as I can and help you with any questions you might have about using the library and finding good quality resources to support any work that you might be doing. So good luck with your studies and hopefully I will see you in the library at some point in the not too distant future.